In the 19th century, a silent, deadly game was played in the heart of Asia. A clandestine struggle for the control of a continent, fought in the shadows.
It was called the Great Game, a Cold War of espionage between the British and Russian empires. For Britain, the goal was survival, to protect its most valuable prize, the jewel in the crown, India. The lands of modern-day Pakistan and Afghanistan became the battleground, the grand chessboard.
The soldiers of this war were not in uniform. They were spies, explorers, and officers in disguise.
They were known only as the players, and their lives were a constant gamble.
Posing as merchants or holy men, they charted territories unknown to the West. They gathered intelligence, mapping the paths that armies might one day follow.
Every piece of information was vital. A single mistake meant certain death.
In this world of shadows, survival depended on nerves of steel and unwavering discipline.
Information was worthless unless it reached its destination. Secret messages were passed through dead drops.
A hidden location where one spy could leave a package for another without ever needing to meet.
A single report could change the fate of an empire, sent on its way with nothing but silence and hope.
His task complete, the player would once again melt back into the crowd, becoming just another face. But the British were not the only ones playing this game. From the north, the Russian bear was just as cunning. Russian players, often disguised as scientists or explorers, pushed south, seeking to exploit any weakness in Britain's defenses. The great cities of the Silk Road, Bukhara and Samarkand, became nests of intrigue, where secrets were the most valuable currency.
For the player in the field, nights were spent under the stars, documenting the day's findings.
Every river, every mountain pass, every tribal loyalty, all were pieces of a grand, strategic puzzle. These were the chronicles that would decide the direction of the game, written in secret, hundreds of miles from home. But this life of constant vigilance and isolation took a heavy toll on the mind and spirit.
In these wild lands, a player was always on guard, for danger was a constant companion.
The intelligence gathered by men like Arthur flowed back to London, shaping the strategies of generals and politicians.
Fearing Russia's growing influence in Afghanistan, a fateful decision was made. The game of shadows was about to erupt into open war.
In 1839, the Army of the Indus was assembled, one of the largest British forces ever seen in Asia.
Their confidence was absolute. They believed they were invincible, bringing order to a lawless frontier.
Among them was Private Thomas, barely a man, dreaming of glory and adventure.
He saw this new world with a sense of wonder, unaware of the brutal reality that awaited him.
The initial invasion was a swift success. The British captured Kabul with little resistance. Victory seemed complete.
In the quiet moments, Thomas would write home, his letters filled with the pride of a soldier and the longing of a son.
For a fleeting moment, there was peace. A soldier's hope carried across 1,000 miles.
But this peace was an illusion. While the British occupiers celebrated, a storm of rebellion was gathering in the mountains. In November 1841, the storm broke. The people of Kabul rose up against the invaders.
The dream of glory vanished, replaced by a nightmare of survival.
Untested in battle, boys were forced to become men in an instant.
Surrounded and cut off, the British leadership made a fatal choice: retreat from Kabul in the dead of winter.
A column of 16,000 soldiers and civilians began a desperate march towards the promise of safety.
The hopeful boy who had marched into this land was now just one of thousands, fighting for his life. The promise was a lie. The snowy passes became a death trap.
Out of 16,000 who left Kabul, only one European, Dr. William Bryden, would reach the safety of Jalalabad.
The news of the disaster sent shockwaves through the British Empire, a profound sense of humiliation and a thirst for revenge. But the defeat did not end the great game. It only made it more bitter, more desperate. The board in St. Petersburg, news of Britain's failure was met with cold satisfaction. The path south seemed clearer than ever before. History holds countless secrets, and the future even more. If you seek to unravel the unknown.
Years passed. The players who survived were changed forever. The game had carved its lines onto their faces.
The nature of the game shifted. It became a war of maps and influence, a patient siege of loyalties.
Alliances were courted in the tents of powerful khans, bought with gold, guns, and promises. But in these lands, trust was a currency more valuable and far rarer than gold.
Finally, after decades of bloodshed and suspicion, the empires decided the game had to end. They would divide the board.
The veteran players, who knew the land and its people, were now just advisors to the men who would draw the lines.
Arthur watched as a penstroke on a map did what armies could not: create a permanent border, a scar of ink and politics. The treaty was signed. With the stroke of a pen, the great game between two great empires was officially over.
But for the people of the frontier, whose homeland was now divided, a new game of survival had just begun.
The players, like Arthur, returned home, their life's work complete, forever haunted by the ghosts of the mountains.
They had played for kingdoms and crowns, but the memories they carried were of faces, names, and promises broken.
They had won the game for their empire. But in the quiet of their twilight years, they were left to wonder what.
The empires are gone, the players are dust, but the lines drawn on the map remain, shaping the destiny of millions.
The mountains, which stood long before the empires and will stand long after, hold the memories of this epic struggle.
The great game never truly ended. It only changed its name. Its echoes are the chronicles of our world today.
Join the Vortex Chronicles, subscribe to our channel, and like this video to continue your journey through time and mystery.